But there are going to be folks out there, real estate, anything to do with real estate, right? And mortgage people, that we're afraid, right?
Yeah.
And instead of going, the biggest thing right now, instead of going to the event, because there might only be 10 people there, maybe I'll stay home today. And maybe I'll do it again next week. So they're going to kind of wait this through and hope their phone rings. And whether you're in real estate or in the mortgage, you've got to be fighting hard right now. You've got to be grinding like at 300%.
You know what hope is?
No good.
Hope is not an acceptable game plan.
Yeah. If that's your retirement plan,
hope is not an acceptable business plan. All right, welcome to another episode of the Context to Contracts podcast. I am Brian Lovell, always here with the amazing Senior John Jones. So let's talk about point number 2. Okay?
Hit it.
Point number 2, do everything in your power to maintain the number of purchase transactions while the market declines. Okay, so what I mean by this is
units, yeah.
It's units, right? So if you closed 50 purchase units last year, you want to do everything in your power to close 50 purchase units this year. Here's the reality. If you closed 50 purchase units last year with 20 referral partners, today you might need 35 referral partners to close the same 50 units, right? And the reason is the market is declining. Agents are closing less homes, right? So if your business is based on the market instead of the activities that you do in the market, your business will decline with the market. So what I'm saying is, if you can do whatever is necessary to make sure that you do as many purchase units this year as you did last year, when the market does improve, whether it's 12 months or 18 months or whatever, you will have gained market share. Okay? So like here
we saw that happen back, with the last go round of 2008. I mean, we saw that where a lot of us, get into a bad headspace, right, in this business, and you can't do that.
No.
Right? You've got to be right. I mean, you've got to shift your focus to doubling down, trying to gain more referral partners, shore up, like we talked about, shore up the existing ones, and be out there everywhere.
Yeah.
Because to your point, when it shifts, and it's going to shift again, 6, 8, 10 months from now, you're going to be who they think of.
So let me give you an example. So let's say we'll use the year 2021. Okay. In 2021, there were 100 available units to close. You closed 10. So you had a 10% market share. Okay. If 2022 rolls around and instead of 100, there's only 50 available, and you still do your 10 transactions, right? Now you have 20% market share.
You doubled it.
Okay. So then let's say 2023 rolls around and now there was 50 transactions.
Now there's back to 100.
Now it's back to 100. If you still have that same market
20%,
share, you doubled your business.
The units, I see.
Right.
Yeah, I like it.
And so if you just focus on, hey, I've got to do whatever I can to make sure I do the same amount of purchase transactions this year as I did last year, the new referral partners that you will have added by doing that will increase your market share when the market shifts. Right. And that's how you gain market share.
Right.
All right. Does that make sense? So let's talk a little bit about.
To a point, we had a call on Friday with several of our LOs around, around the country, and a lot of people are afraid right now, right? They're a little bit worried, but we have some folks that have identified there are a lot of people that are going to do nothing. Right, so we've got to be careful. If you're in this business right now, right, you know where I'm going with this, right? You're going to see people right now that are going to joke. And believe me, we've been through it, or you started as it was going the other way. You started at the peak. But there are going to be folks out there, real estate, anything to do with real estate, right, and mortgage people, that we're afraid, right?
Yeah.
And instead of going, the biggest thing right now, instead of going to the event, because there might only be 10 people there, maybe I'll stay home today. And maybe I'll do it again next week. So they're going to kind of wait this through and hope their phone rings. And whether you're in real estate or in the mortgage, you've got to be fighting hard right now. You've got to be grinding like at 300%.
You know what hope is?
No good.
Hope is not an acceptable game plan.
Yeah. If that's your retirement plan,
Hope is not an acceptable business plan.
Right.
I think we've talked on this show many times about what are activities you can be doing. We've already talked about going to open houses today. Here's the long and short of it. If you want to maintain the same number of transactions, you've got to have more referral partners. So whatever you've got to do to meet more referral partners and get into relationship with them, those are the activities that you need to do. Now, I will say this, because we could take up 2 hours talking about this. If you need help with what those specific activities are, reach out to John or I. We're happy to do a consultation with you, do a coaching call, and set you on the path that you need to make sure that you're able to do that.
I mean, and if you haven't up to this point had to work a system where you call your realtors that have sent you business, now's the time. We've talked about this multiple times. Go back 3, 4, 5 years, look at everybody that you closed a transaction with, and reach out, invite them for coffee, invite if they're local, invite them to lunch. Had somebody this morning that just or yesterday, reached out to an agent that they hadn't done a deal with in 4 years, right? You know what happened, right? It was a little squirrely, right? Something a little, this isn't a smooth business, right? Not everything rides smooth. So, they just kind of disconnected. The call, great to hear from you. Hey, do you have time for lunch today?
Yeah.
And guess what? They had lunch. Today, got a referral.
Nice.
I mean, 24 hours later, somebody that they had not done a transaction with in 4 years, wow. And bam, just like that, That's awesome. But it also makes me pound my head. This is a hustler right now, and so you know who I'm talking about. And I'll give you.
I don't actually.
I'm going to actually say, go Gators, Stacey Van Skank. I mean, she's not going to get derailed, right?
No,
so
she's
grinding. Which I love to see team members that are they are not going to let the market dictate their income, right?
Yeah,
They're going to fight through it all.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. All right, so here's the last thing. Point number 3. What is your wow factor? Okay, so I shared a story recently. I turned 29 a year ago, and on my 29th birthday a year ago, I made a reservation at a local restaurant here in Tampa. And if you've ever made a restaurant on Open Table, it allows you to put in is there a special occasion? So I put in, hey, it's my birthday. So
of course you did.
Show me some love and attention. So I get to the restaurant. I got my family with me, and I get to the restaurant, and they sit us at the table, and the table has got confetti, happy birthday confetti and stuff like that all over it. There's 2 glasses of champagne already poured, and 2 glasses of some sparkling apple juice or something like that,
kids, yeah.
And champagne flutes for my kids, right? So they get to feel part of this. Eventually, somebody comes around to the table, takes a picture of us together, and by the time we leave, after they've given us a free dessert, they have printed the picture and put it in a frame. Okay, now
that's a wow.
That's a wow, right?
Yeah,
so
sure.
At the end of the day, was the meal really good? It was.
I was going to say it probably was.
It was. But what I remember is how they made me feel.
The experience.
Right. Yeah. It was the experience.
Sure.
And so that's just an analogy I want to give on what's your wow factor, right? Everybody can do a loan, right? I'm not saying that loans are easy, okay? I'm not saying that loans are easy, but at the end of the day, good loan officers are going to close loans, and everybody can close loans. But how are you making people feel? What's the wow factor in working with you as an individual?
Give me we work with plenty of folks. Give us some wows. Who do we know that does something that's a wow as an LO? Let's talk about this. Some ideas. If you don't think you have a wow.
Sure. I tell you, I think you and I talked about this, or maybe it was somebody else I was talking to. But we get in the habit of we go to closings and we take photographs and we post them
all over social
media, right? How about if you took that same photograph and you framed it and sent that to the borrower?
Like the restaurant.
Right. And so here's the thing. I look at all of the pictures around my home. They're all pictures we had taken in a studio somewhere. Right? We post for the pictures. I don't have any pictures in my home that are candids or something like that.
That we didn't, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that would be something cool that somebody would put up or keep in their house.
Okay.
I think that there are folks right now who do a lot of closing gifts. You know, we heard from somebody recently that gives a welcome home sign to each borrower, and they encourage them to write something encouraging on the back.
That was pretty cool.
Like a scripture or a quote or something like that. That is
it's a homemade welcome
so
home
but
sign.
it reminds them of this special occasion.
Right.
They say the 3 most important days of somebody's life are the day they get married, the day they have children, and the day they buy a home.
Yeah,
right.
I would agree.
We get a great opportunity to be a part of one of those.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
So what can we do to create it, make it special, make it a wow factor? I think one of the things we need to think about too, though, John, is we just gave a bunch of examples on things that you can do to create a wow factor at the end of a transaction. What could we do to create a wow factor at the beginning? Right. So I think there's some things to think about, like that. One of the things that I used to do, and again, I'll say this worked for me. It may not work for you. That's okay. But one of the things I did at every pre-approval, I wrote a handwritten note on every pre-approval I did. And it was simple. I said the same thing in every single one. Something along the lines of, hey, thanks for the opportunity to help you with home loan financing. Mm-hmm. We're on this journey together. If there's anything that you need throughout this process, let me know. And signed it, slammed some business cards in there, and went. But they got a personalized handwritten card from me on every single pre-approval that I did.
Nice.
Right? And I think, handwritten cards are... anymore, I think they're a big deal. Nobody does it anymore. You know what people do? They use send out cards.
Right.
Or something like that.
Right.
Send them an email. So just some ideas to kick around.
I like it. I think we could go on and on with this. I think that back to the point now is double down, triple down with your activities. Make sure you do hedge with summation. Mm-hmm. Your pre-approves out looking, and your realtor referral partners. Right. Don't let somebody else. Right. We're in a dogfight. I mean, we've just seen Top Gun Maverick, and
good movie.
Yeah, great movie. Apparently, I've got to see it in the IMAX. But I mean, you've got to be out there. Don't give up on events, right? Because less and less people you feel show up. Again, both of us went through this back, 2008, 9. The ones that came out on top, right, when the dust all settled and really became mega teams, mm-hmm. They went from individual loan officers to becoming mega teams in the market. They pushed through it all, right? Yeah. They were the fighters through it all. They were the warriors, and you just got to keep headstrong. Yeah.
So here's the reality: is it's easy to get caught up in the media. By the way, I was guilty of it back in 2008. Like I found myself every single day glued to the TV, watching what's going on in the financial markets, looking for any indication that things are going to turn around. And then one day I just decided, like, I'm not going to watch that anymore. And from this day forward, every single day, I'm going to do something in my business that is a revenue generating activity. That day was the first day in my life I ever time blocked out a week.
Right.
And what I did was So
you mean you didn't look at the files and the issues and the problems that are never,
at that time I didn't really have enough to do that.
So you went after it.
So I had to go after it, and then at some point, but here's the deal, is the discipline was always there. Even if it was just an hour, every single day of the week, I had something on my calendar that was a revenue generating activity. By the way, a lot of them were recurring, meaning like, hey, I went to a BNI group every Thursday morning.
Right.
I went to another networking group every Friday morning for breakfast. I went and did broker opens in my market every single Tuesday.
This is a halftime. We're going to make a halftime adjustment. So what I'm saying is we've been order takers for 2 years in our industry with probably less than 2% prospecting, right? Working 40 hours, a lot more than 40 hours in many cases, right? Because it was busy, frothy. We've just got to switch the hours, and now it's got to be prospecting again. You're not necessarily working longer. It's a different type of job this next 12 months. You've got to be grinding to get business and forget. You're not going to be taking orders. Yeah. So you can't just sit, on the defense. You've got to be on the offense and go after it.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll just kind of wrap up with this. Like, listen, John and I have talked about. Well, we gave you 3 tips, right? Put a hedge of protection, a fortress around those that you currently work with. Do everything in your power to make sure you do as many purchase transactions this year as you did last year, and then decide what your wow factor is. Now, if through all of that you need help with any one of those 3 points or all 3 points, John and I are here to help in any way.
Absolutely.
Right? So I say this all the time. I serve all who seek service, just not those that we're in business with. So if you need us, call us. We'd be happy to help. All right.
Nice.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Context to Contracts podcast. On behalf of John, I'm Bryan, and if there's anything you need, always here to serve.